Hi, magandang gabi sa inyong lahat. We are Isko and Iska sa Melbourne. My name is Janica. I tonight I am joined by Mike Venezuela and Jeff Ramos, who will host the evening for with an interview with Mike. Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land in which we're streaming from the Bunurong and Wurundjeri Woiwurrung peoples. And I would like to pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging. Magandang gabi ulit. So tonight, we have a topic which is very interesting for a lot of us migrants. We call it Maunlad o Mailap na Bukas. So a conversation about your financial future as a Filipino professional migrant. Um, Before we begin, so I'll introduce Jeff, who has been a key founder of our alumni association, the University of the Philippines Alumni in Victoria. He's currently an engineering consultant and a senior manager at Utility Mapping in Australia. And he's moved to Melbourne over a couple of or maybe 3 years ago now, after living in Sydney for more than 8 years. So he's an ISCO graduated geodetic engineering in UP Diliman. And he's lived everywhere. He's lived in the Middle East when he was young, in his younger age, and also worked in Europe for a couple of years, I think in the UK, before he moved to Sydney. And recently, he's did a finance course at Australian Institute of Management. So he's also completing a mini MBA from the same institution. Welcome, Jeff.
Thanks, Janica. Thanks for the introduction. So, I'll pass it back on to you. So,
That's good.
introduce our speaker, Mike. It's actually a very exciting topic, and it's very timely given the recent budget that came out. So, we're pretty lucky to have Mike on board with us. And without further ado, I'll pass it on to Janica.
Thank you, Jeff. As you would also see, we have synchronized our background. So we've got a brick background. So I will introduce now our key guest speakers. Mike Venezuela has over 30 years of tax, accounting, and audit experience earned locally and overseas. He's currently one of our alumni board advisory board member, and he completed a double degree in business administration and accountancy. One of the toughest courses as a bachelor doing about when you do bachelor's degree in the Philippines. Um, so he finished CPA years ago, right after his graduation, and he's done lots of work in the accounting space. So he's had a decade of audit tax practices in the Philippines, and then he migrated in 2002 in Melbourne. He's also worked in local accounting and tax practices for the last maybe 15 years now to further his tax and accounting knowledge. He's also an entrepreneur and now has his own business, MLV Group. It includes also his other business pursuits. So he's got his own basketball league, Valiente Zamboanga. He's also got a restaurant in Cairnley, and then his accounting firm. Also, I'd like to mention MLV has over 4,000 clients from various businesses and sectors in Melbourne or in Australia. And he's also very proud of his business pursuits. So, as I've mentioned, he co-owns Tambayan in Cairnley, Talier Auto Service in Dandenong, and co-owns basketball teams based in Victoria and the Philippines, which have won 4 times in basketball league and 3x3 champions of basketball league in Australia. Welcome, Mike.
Hello. Thank you very much, Janica and Jeff. How are you? Um, so yes, thank you. Thank you very much for that introduction.
Before Jeff starts asking you questions, I'd like to invite everyone to raise any comments or questions. So if you're tuning in via my Facebook and the Isko and Iska Facebook page, and also my LinkedIn, you can participate by typing in your comments. I'll have a look. I'll moderate. And as we go, we've also um, introduced the idea of giving a prize for anyone who's tuned in for the entire show. And you'll be in the draw to win a mug, which is a limited edition mug. So, yeah, please go and tune in for the rest of the show. I'll just show you how it looks like before we begin. Um, there you go. So tune in, and you can enter the draw for a prize, which is a limited edition mug. All right, pass it back to you, Jeff.
Okay, thanks a lot, Janica. I suppose we might as well get into it because this particular topic is actually very broad, and I know Mike is very passionate about it, and yeah, just want to make sure that we give Mike enough time to talk about what he wants. But if you can help share the screen, Janica, so we can start off with the slide that Mike has prepared for tonight. But how are you feeling, Mike, after the budget? Like, do you think we're we got what we're meant to?
Yes,
From
it's also election time in Australia. So we expect of our election here in May. So they've done the budget to be generous. So, it might influence our decision whom to vote this time around. So,
That's right. Yeah.
the budget is what given to us, and we can give you some the highlights of the budget later on.
Okay.
So the topic today is we've divided into three, yeah? Uh, Intergenerational differences, the access to government services, and the future lifestyle. So
That's right.
let's go to the first topic then.
Yeah.
Um, so intergenerational differences. So this is first of all, I'd like to define the different age group that we are in because it is very important if you're doing a business or if you are a supervisor in your own employment or work to understand the behaviors of each age group, and
Yeah.
then
That
yeah,
depends on the market you're targeting.
yes, correct. And even if you're into marketing, if you're into social media, you should know whom to, I mean, what do they want, what do they prefer. So
Yeah.
first of all, I'd like to define baby boomers are those who were born from 1946 to 1964, or they would have been around 57 to 75 years old.
Okay.
Generation X, to which I belong, for those who were born from 1965 to 1980, or they are now 41 to 56 years old.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now,
We born in the same generation.
yeah, we're into that. And millennials or Generation Y are those who were born from 1981 to 1996, or they are now like 26 to 40 years old. So their life begins at 40, so they're about to begin their life. And
That's right.
Generation Z, I think, is the last one. They're the ones who were born 1996 and after. So they would have been
Yeah.
like
They're
10
the
to
new
25 years old. That's a new one.
they're the new yeah they're the new kids on the block. So
Yes.
new people in the market, new either just coming out of university or just coming out of high school. So sila medyo
Yeah.
mga bata-bata pa. So
Yung mga anak ko yan, yung mga daughters
that's
ko,
right.
they're
Mga
that
anak
age.
natin. Ganun na yan.
Anak natin, oo. So, so baby boomers, we can say that these are the people, they're age 57 to 75 years old. So we can say that these are the richest. They have the most wealth at the moment,
Mhm.
and they don't have debt. They don't have debt because during their period, they would have benefited from the low interest rate,
The
like
cheap housing as well.
yeah,
Yeah,
and the housing are cheap, inflated house prices.
that's
So
correct.
they are those who are now who can afford to retire. So these are the people who are yeah, because in Australia we can start to retire from actually from 55. You can do transition to retirement until by 65 is you will be retiring, and then but of course people don't really retire somehow. They sometimes they just
That's
reduce
about
their
yeah.
working hours.
Because sometimes if you do retire, like the question is, oh, ano naman ang gagawin mo? Like
Yeah, yeah.
you kind of need to
So
do
we
something to keep sane.
Yeah,
So
so
it's
they
key.
go back to work somehow, no? 1 day, 2 days, and we're all social animals. It's more than the financial. Is the gossip that you want to talk to when you go to the office, you know? Because
That's right.
pag when you retire, kasi minsan you don't have the reason to make yourself presentable. Kung di ba, kung wala kang pupuntahan, so it's nice to still work,
It's
you
the
know?
need to keep relevant. So that is very
Correct.
important, especially that. But at the same time, kung every generation, I believe, has different issues that they're facing. So in whatever matter or form, and they're the challenges that hopefully we can have a quick discussion about later. But yeah,
Yes.
I'll get back to you, Mike.
Yeah, so Generation X, to which we belong, this would have been the more entrepreneurial type, no? Because during our we are this age group would have been the computer era they would have been there, when it started, and the dot com. If you remember the dot
Dot-com
com,
era. Yeah, that's right.
they
Yeah.
are the one. They are the group age group that has been affected by that.
And this
So
particular group, it's actually more of these people in this particular group. They're more the senior managers at the moment. You know, senior executives in
yes,
mga
yes,
CEO
correct.
positions,
Sila
mga
nga yung mga
senior managers.
CEO, yeah. They're
So
going, and I think they're going to the peak of their career. This is the time that you are
that's right.
going
Yeah.
to that position. And obviously because they are the business owners, they have a lot of maybe credit card debt at the moment. If you haven't really prepared well, maybe these are the people who are, because you're entrepreneurial,
Right. Well, you need money to invest, don't you, Mike?
Yes. But
You cannot
you
invest
have to
without money.
identify good loan and bad loan. I always say that. Good loan is when you invest into something that goes up in value. So even businesses can go up in value, So those are good debt, So yeah, so Gen X are defined by that they're more social media,
And if I'm
they're
not mistaken, this particular generation, it's I think it's the biggest
yeah,
population, if I'm not
yeah,
mistaken,
I
currently.
think so. I think so. They're the biggest population at the moment.
Yeah,
But of course, millennials
are
are
definitely coming into the picture.
definitely going to I mean getting mas madami na rin siguro millennials
Mhm.
eventually, no? They're getting bigger as well. Now, millennials or Gen Y, these are the technologically savvy group, you know.
Mhm.
They want diverse work, they want collaboration, and they're more transparent. So they want creative work. So these are the age group that you will see that could have more jobs rather than the baby boomer or Gen X. Like because of they are more susceptible to job changes, I think.
Would you say
Because,
this generation as well has more an entrepreneurial spirit
yes, but
compared
yeah,
to
correct.
the previous generations were in ang mindset I remember as a young kid it's like ang mindset sa akin ng parents ko it's like find a job stay at that job retire on that job it's like wow like so
Yes,
you
yes,
basically I'm studying I'm living and I'm studying to make someone rich so
correct, correct. So I think because
the
there are
mindset
more
is very
information.
different.
Tama, there are more information in social media now. They can be influenced by a lot of things. You cannot really restrict what you can tell them. So the information is everywhere. So these are because they are technologically savvy and they are exposed to the internet more than everyone.
That's right, yeah.
They can do their own. They can create their own. They
And
can be influenced.
and the thing with this generation is they've been pretty lucky to have everything um, uh,
Instant.
spoon fed, almost spoon
Yeah,
fed to them,
it's
and at the
spoon
same
fed to
time,
them.
every information to them is you can get from the internet, from the
Yeah,
web. Wherein
correct. I remember.
this generation didn't have encyclopedias.
Yeah, last time I have to go to the library and look for the information
That's
that I
right.
need. But now, no need. You just and they can work because of the internet, you can actually work anywhere in the world now. and you can really outsource things overseas. So the world is getting smaller, as they say.
Yeah, and it's like so I know we're here in Melbourne, pero what I've been really surprised with is particularly sa Philippines, wherein usually a work from home setup is really a no sort of setup. But a lot of companies due to COVID, I think has actually COVID. If there's one good thing about COVID is na-open nila yung mata ng mga companies, wherein it's actually proven that a work from home setup doesn't necessarily degrade the productivity of the person, but in most cases it actually increases their productivity. Like
Yes, work. Yes, correct. Working from home is increases productivity as long as you maybe you dedicate a place in your workplace to be to be
mhm,
to have a semblance of a workplace, home office, and it saves a lot of time, travel time, and even it gives a lot of work also overseas, especially to our Filipino countrymen in the Philippines.
yeah,
So yeah, I think that's so it's very important to understand which age group your employee is or your subordinates are or even your customer, and then you have to zero in on their characteristics and try to use that to your advantage to be able
mhm,
to motivate them, to be able to give a very effective marketing campaign. So it's about niche market. If your niche market are goes to the baby boomers or Gen X millennials, you have to
yeah,
tailor fit your
yeah,
marketing tool to them.
yeah.
So
I
yeah.
suppose, Mike, isang mga magandang what would be good to actually talk about, and I know this your next topic as well is um, what are the government services that we can access, and uh, is there limitations depending on what generation you're from? And I suppose all of these are dependent on your income and your current status here in in Australia, either
Yes.
you're a permanent resident or a citizen, or maybe as a student, or even I'd say a person who is on a worker visa. So what are the what are the different government services? And because at the end of the day, we work to um, to live, to live, and hopefully,
Yes.
people. There's no people in this watching us at the moment who live to work, so it should be the other way around. Yeah, um, yeah. In work and living, it's they're two different things, and we need to make sure that we get them in the right order. So yeah, but back to superannuation, insurance, and investments. What do you think about this, Mike?
So yes, we are fortunate that we are living in Australia, and for us here in Melbourne, because the government is really very generous and really gives a lot of incentive, encourages people to to work because they know that it generates economic activity if everyone is working.
Mhm.
And we can see that from anecdotal evidences that today, it, I think we should have the lowest job vacancy now. Everyone has work.
Yeah, we have the
Everyone
lowest
even has
unemployment.
multiple, yeah.
That's correct.
And we have to be grateful with that. And I know that even some of my clients, they're being poached by other competing companies. So that's how we have a shortage really in our
Well,
skill in
Australia's
our job
facing
here.
Australia's definitely facing a resource issue at the moment in almost every sector. I work in the construction industry, and I can tell you now, normally our first option is to look for local talents, and at the moment, there's just
You can
nothing there.
you
So,
cannot find
no,
and
yeah, yeah,
you cannot find any.
we're starting to recruit from overseas now. Like it's but then companies need to have strategies, and I suppose I'm making sure that people who come here they make, you know. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely a big issue now.
So I think sa mga kababayan natin sa Philippines, there's a lot of demand really for services here in Australia. So two things, they can really migrate here because we really need migrants in Australia, and number two, they can actually offer their outsourcing from the Philippines because
Yeah.
we need that now in Australia. You just have to maybe find a way how to take advantage of this shortage.
Yeah. Just
So
yeah. With
yeah,
that,
so
Mike, like, what do you think? Can we do with our superannuation? Like,
okay.
how
So
can we?
superannuation is a pension structure that we can take advantage of because when you when you increase your superannuation fund, uh, the tax rate in super is only 15%.
Yeah.
And and if you are already in pension phase, in tax free already, the profit that is
Superannuation.
generated
Yeah.
is tax free. So it is important to really boost your super, especially if you're a baby boomer, you're 57 to 75 years old, so you will be retiring soon. In at 60 to 65, you will be
Mhm.
retiring. So maybe you have a 5-year window gap there to really increase your super. So you can actually contribute. There are two ways of contributing. Concessional super contribution is before tax. So you can
Mhm.
ask your employer to put more super contribution instead of you being paid as a wage. You can tell your
Yeah.
employer to give directly to your super. So that is
And it
concessional
helps.
contribution.
And it helps to lower down your tax as well because rather than whatever money you're on, it's going to go down to 15%.
Yes,
Mm.
yes. Your taxable income goes down. So there's
That's right.
a lot of strategy there. And
Okay.
also we can do also after tax contribution or non-concessional contribution. If you have a lot of
Mm.
money, we can also put up to 100,000 or 110,000 to your super. That is if you're really retiring already, like you're 63, 64, and you want to put
Mhm.
more funds to your super. So that is a
Right.
strategy that you can do.
Yeah.
Now, also another thing here in Australia is insurance. You know that everything has to be insured. You know, uh, your content insurance. If you have a business, you should have a public liability insurance, and personally, you should have your own life insurance and
That's
income protection insurance. Why? Because if you don't have a proper life insurance and something happened to you, so how do you expect your family to live? Because unlike maybe in the Philippines, you can live with your parents. Here, it is you are alone. You know, so
hmm
it
yeah.
everything has to be insured to give you peace of mind. Now, for tax purposes, the general rule is for life insurance, it is better to be put in your super because it is tax deductible when life insurance is inside your super. Now, with regard to income protection insurance, it is best to put it outside super or you pay it out of pocket from your personal pocket because it is tax deductible.
It's deductible. Yeah.
So that is the general rule that I can say for insurances. Now, when it comes to investment, I think baby boomers, if they have invested in shares or real estate, then they will be getting all the capital appreciation of that
The
investment.
benefits of it all, but at the same time, uh, they need to be strategic with their tax because
Yes, because
the
there will
government
be
can
some,
bite very very quickly if they know you got money. They're very cunning.
yeah. So if you sell your investment, there's what you call capital gain. There's a capital gain implication. But um, if you buy a house and you live on it and you sell it after 20, 30 years, there is no capital gain on that one because there's what you call main residence exemption. But if you
Mm.
bought a property for investment purposes and you sell it, then there is a capital gain issue there. You need to pay tax. But you have to be mindful that there's also a 50% capital gain discount. So you can
Yeah.
avail of that. So there are ways of reducing the tax
And I think
implication of
people
your
need to know,
investment.
or yeah, whichever part of Australia they're living in, apart from the federal, um, benefits that you can have. There's actually state specific benefits that you can, or you just need to do some research. Otherwise, you might need to contact an accountant like Mike, who'd be able to
Yeah.
advise you more and better on these issues.
Yes, there are a lot of grants that is available there. There are
Mhm.
federal grants, state grants, and local grants. And there are grants that are for specific industry. So you really have to, if you're a part of an industry group, they would
Mhm.
advise you what grant is available.
That's
And
right. Yeah.
and even in your local environment, local state, local government, there are some. So everything is in the net. You just have to find the time to
Yeah.
really look for it, and then maybe discuss that with your financial advisor or accountant.
And people need to
How you
make
can,
sure that
yeah,
yeah, and people
how
need to
can
make
you
sure
can
that
be
they get
eligible?
their their information from the experts, the right resource, and not from someone from Facebook. Because
Yes, correct,
there's a
correct.
tendency for people to get the information on
Uh,
Facebook. So yeah, I think that's
yeah,
a
correct.
definite no. But I actually want to move on, Mike, because I'm conscious about
Okay.
the time. So I want to move on to the next topic, which is the future lifestyle. And I want to focus on financial future and wealth, and the Australian budget, and how's that kind of impact our life at the moment.
Okay,
Or
so for the financial budget, for the Australian budget, every year the Australian government announces the changes to in the budget. And this year, I'll give you a short, like a short highlight on that one. So for our personal income tax, there is an increase in the low and middle income tax offset, which means that everyone will get an additional 420 tax offset. We call it the cost of living tax offset. So in general, if you are an individual and your income is from 37,000 to 126,000, so you are in that bracket, you get a tax offset of 1,500 for an individual. So for a couple,
good.
it's 3,000. So when we
Mhm.
do our 2022 tax return, we will have more refund because they will just give this on top of the usual refund that you get.
That's
So
right.
we can help we can use that to our advantage. And then for if you have a business, the the government is giving skills and training boost, technology investment boost, which means that if you invest in training your staff, you can claim additional 20% more of expenditure. And the same with technology investment boost. If you invest in your tech, in adapting to digital technology, there's a additional 20% expenses that you can claim. So it
That's right.
means that the government really want small businesses to invest in their staff, in skills and training, and into technology. So that's the future now is technology. How to take advantage of the
Yeah.
technology that is around us.
And
And
just with that, Mike, for so that'd be great for people who've got businesses. So they're definitely something that you should be looking out for. But at the same time, for those who are employed, so if it's not if this particular benefit is not being utilized by your company, it doesn't mean that you cannot talk to them about it. Kasi baka minsan hindi lang nila alam. So
yeah,
if you bring
yeah,
it up, that
yeah,
medyo
you can
pabibo
bring
na
it
rin
up.
ng konti, di ba? So you can actually bring this up to them, and I'm pretty sure most companies will welcome the idea of
Yes, correct. If
helping
you're an
helping
employee,
staff.
you can ask your employer to invest in you through the skills
That's right.
and training because number one, they will get your loyalty if you if they invest in you, and number two, they can claim tax deduction on that one. So I
That's
think
right.
that's also one thing that you can also tell your employer if just to be sure, or maybe if you can find one that suits you and that can help them.
Yeah.
So it's better when you present it to your employer. Oh, how about these skills and training? As long as the skill and training is from a registered Australian provider. I think that's also one of
Mhm.
the requirement there.
So
So
just
yeah,
yeah, Mike, what do you think are the things that we should focus on in terms of creating future financial wealth for each of the generation? Have you got any advice on how
yeah,
each of these groups can what they can do to help boost up their finances?
correct. If you're a baby boomer and you are like retiring already, you should invest in stuff that is short term investment, because you cannot afford to invest in long term investment, because if that investment did not really increase in value, then you didn't really took advantage of that. So if you're nearly retiring, your baby boomer, invest in short term investments. So those that will give you cash incentive, like managed funds, or interest that gives you good interest, but not really capital appreciation. If you are Generation X and millennials, you can afford to invest in long term investment. Like I know that people are investing in Bitcoin, especially the
That's right.
technologically savvy group, which is millennials. So a lot of my clients are asking me if they can invest in Bitcoin. So it is a long term proposition. Eventually, I think Bitcoin will grow up in value, but it's a very long term. So I
That's
don't advise baby boomers to invest in
it's a
Bitcoin,
very
but
volatile
yeah,
setup. So yes, you can make money, but you can also lose money. So
yeah, and
it's a
maybe
gamble.
diversify. You say
Yeah,
diversify. Risk the risk appetite, is where you are. So I think if you are younger, you are Generation X and millennials, you can take more risk. You can, because you have more time to
yeah,
recoup any
yeah.
losses. But if you are a baby boomer, you have to what do you- don't take too much risk at the moment. So hold on to what you have, because you are rich anyway, and be wary of scams that are coming.
Yep.
Of course, the number one victims here are baby boomers. They are the one who have money, so they are the one being scammed.
Yeah. It's very hard to give money if you don't have much.
Yeah. So correct, correct. Baby boomers, maybe you ask your children before you go into investment. And there are a lot of topics, intergenerational transfer of chain of wealth.
Wealth.
Like
Yeah.
you have this at this point in time, the baby boomers and even the Generation X has to do some strategy to transfer their wealth to their children.
Hmm.
So one way of doing that is, I'm seeing it in my all of my clients, is if you have a house and you have equity in the house, you can actually help your children to start
Yeah.
buying their own house by providing them the
Like,
deposit
yeah. The
using the
deposit.
equity of your house. But on their side, they have to have income to be able to borrow from the bank.
Yeah.
So
That's
both
right.
of you will have to work. You as the parent will have to provide the deposit through the equity of your house, and the children should have income to be able to borrow. And then in that way, you will start them to a better future, because they are
Yeah.
now
Of course.
going into that direction.
Yeah. And
Hey, Mike,
I hate to
I
say
just have
this,
to
Mike.
butt in.
Yeah. I think
Does
we've
that
run out
mean
of
we have
time.
to stop eating avocados? Well,
All right.
avocados are $1.50 lately, so we can eat it
Yeah.
now.
Okay, we
Yeah.
can eat it after this.
But I think this is such a big topic at the moment, and it's very important to discuss it. So unfortunately, we can only do discuss this much at the moment. Uh, but I'm pretty sure you speak to definitely speak to a professional, and Mike is definitely one of them. So feel free to get in touch with him. But I think
I was
yeah,
just gonna
just,
say, to people who might be watching this later, you can, replay the live version of our live stream. And if you want to add your comment in this stream via the Facebook page of Isco at Escasa Melbourne, you can enter the draw to win a prize, which is our limited edition mug.
That's right.
But the question is, what do you think is the best way to improve your financial health? So there's quite a number of ways to do it. So if you type in your comment, we'll have a read and we'll find out, yeah, who the prize winner is. We'll have a chat with you. But very insightful things, Mike and Jeff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very
Uh,
broad, but we
Very
can
broad.
we
Yeah,
can
we only
talk
have
here
half
for
an
hours.
hour.
We can talk here for hours, but yeah, you can. So my advice is just talk to your accountant or financial advisor for advice, and because we have our own specific, unique requirement and specific condition, specific situation. So we will
right.
tailor made the advice that will suit you really. So yeah, thank you very much for having me here.
Yeah.
Thank you,
No worries. Thank
Mike.
you very much, Mike. And don't forget to follow Mike on his LinkedIn and Facebook, because even on Facebook he does say he regularly posts videos on Pinoys in Melbourne. So watch out,
Yes,
Mike.
Yes.
yes. So
He's
I
very
do this.
active there in social media.
I call it walk the talk with MLV. So somehow, if I'm happy if you get one or two lessons out of it, then it makes my life worthwhile. And yeah, that's my
Yeah.
Perfect.
mission to everyone. And thank you very much.
Well, those are the LinkedIn and Facebook groups that Mike uses or has. Yeah, please go and search the company name. Um, and yeah, thanks for sharing your time tonight. We will post this video in our Facebook page and LinkedIn page in at Discord Discuss Melbourne or University of the Philippines alumni in Victoria. And Jeff, do you have other comments?
Well, no, it's really more just to watch out for our next session with regard to this topic. So it's very exciting. We've got a great speaker as well in our next session. And
In
for those
June, yes.
who are living in Melbourne, either you're a fellow ISCA or not, we're trying to do doing a lot of different activities to sort of support migrants, support our fellow countrymen, and our fellow ISCO and ISCAP. So reach
Yes,
out
definitely.
to us, either myself or even Janica and any of the executive team. But yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot for
Yes.
all your time.
Just reach out if you have any other comments other than this topic. Let us know. We can, put together some topic in the future for you. And yeah, this is exciting times. We are entering a new lifestyle and post-COVID world. And then we've got two elections coming up, state and also federal. So it will be interesting the policy proposals put through by both governments. And I've got I've got something to show here. I might plug it because
Ooh,
we've had this statue in my desk for a while now. It's been shipped from the Philippines, so I might as well show it to you. If you can see it, hang on. I might have to remove my
yeah,
background here, but
I'll
it
bring it
is
up a bit
a.
more.
Oh yeah, I need to change my virtual background.
So it's oblation.
Yeah, it
Oh,
is the statue which is from the Philippines.
ablation.
So if people can see it, yeah,
Yeah,
there you
yeah.
go. This is our very
Yeah, that
famous
one.
ablation statue, and it's got Mike. I think Mike, you've got this one in your work.
Yes, I have that
All
as
right, how do
well.
I do this? So, we've been accredited for those people who haven't really been following us. We've been accredited by the UP Alumni Office of Alumni Relations in Quezon City in Diliman. And there you go. We've ordered this statue and it's arrived during pandemic too. So it's very nice.
Yeah,
It's great to have this around. So I will have the opportunity to show this to you in our future meetings with the executive team, and maybe we'll have another group photo with us. So
Okay.
we're also incorporated, by the way, this month. So yeah,
Yeah.
well, there's some good things happening there. Thank you everyone for tuning in.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
Mike. Thanks,
everyone.
Jeff.
Mabuhay. Magandang gabi sa lahat.
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you
Salamat
very
ulit,
much.
Mike.
Yeah.
Salamat,
Yeah.
Janica.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.